As far as you know, what benefits are expected to come from the quarry?
Like the fishing, fishery.
This investment in a quarry of this size is a far better investment for our national insurance scheme than in the hotel.
We did the assessment at that time under the conditions that existed then. So this was not done for anything that I see is happening now.
There's no point to complain to them because as long as they're getting the money, they don't care for who dead.
When I took the gentleman down there and he saw the stone and the quality of the stone, he had several orgasms.
Hello, I'm Kenton Chance of Eyewitness News. And 10 days after tractors belonging to Reno Gajada began to bulldoze the hillside behind me as part of a 30-year lease for a stone quarry, the area is already transformed. In the neighboring community of Fitzhughes, people are divided in terms of their support for the quarry. Interestingly, some who support, as well as some who are opposed, do not know why they have taken that position. But surprisingly, some of the people with whom we spoke did not even know what a quarry is. Our coverage resumed in Fitzhughes on February 10, where we asked residents about their opinions of a quarry being set up in Richmond.
Well, I think it's a good idea. It will bring more development in North Leeward. There's nothing really happening for Leeward people. And I know it's going to bring more jobs. In terms of jobs, it's going to bring more income in Leeward.
How do you know it's going to bring more jobs?
Well, if a work start, they will employ people. Me show some about 5-10 body from Leeward go get a work around there.
Are you concerned about the environmental impact, like issues such as dust and noise and anything like that?
Well, it have other quarry in St. Vincent, and I never hear people complain about dust. So I don't think it will affect we here. Because it had residential area up in Leyu, and I never hear nobody quarry about the dust and the stone and nothing like that up there.
I think I heard you said that you harvest gravel in Richmond?
Yeah, well that now will affect we. That won't affect we.
But the gravel that you harvest, what do you do with it?
Sell.
For construction?
Anything, anybody. Gravel for bale blocks, gravel for construction.
Okay, so this quarry is going to be producing aggregates, which may be crushed stone that can be used in construction. And
well, most of stone and then we are crushed now in the quarry in Leyu does go away. So sometimes they had this road was doing for the past time, and just because they couldn't get stone fast enough, the road would hold up.
Well, the question I wanted to ask you say you got a gravel there, but when you have a quarry coming in and probably doing the same thing that you're doing, producing the same kind of gravel.
Well, not everybody like stone, you know. Some people rather the gravel, especially for bale blocks. You don't use stone to bale blocks, you use the gravel, fine gravel.
So you don't think it would affect you?
No, it don't affect me.
At least 25 farmers will be displaced as the government leases lands to St. Lucian businessman Reno Gajada for 30 years for the operation of a quarry. Senator Julian Francis is Minister of Urban Development, but had ministerial responsibility for quarries during the first 15 years after the Unity Labour Party administration came to office in 2001.
I want to establish one thing. Reno's lease covers only 58.8 acres. You have heard wildcards out there saying 80 acres, 100 acres, 300 acres. That's the whole of Richmond. There's a defined area where the lots are numbered.
Good morning, gentlemen. Yes, sir. How are you?
I don't like nothing.
Huh?
I don't like it. I don't like nothing.
The postman Yeah, yes, sir.
I just fly over. Yeah.
So you wanna give your view on the quarry?
You're not gonna have people.
No, not right now. But trust me, it just fly over. Yeah, that's something. It just fly over. And thing. Yeah, what's like? You have to carry. Trust me.
Where do you live?
Huh?
Where do you live?
Right there.
In Fitzhughes?
Yeah.
Good morning, miss. How are you?
I'm fine. Again.
My name is Kenton Chance. I'm a journalist. I run a website called Eyewitness News. And I'm trying to get the views of people in this area about a quarry being set up in Richmond. You want to talk to me about that?
According to them, it's good.
According to what they do?
Yeah.
Meaning what?
No, what the benefit for people and
Yeah.
no problem with that.
So what benefits do you think, or based on what you
Once you gain employment for the people
you want to talk, you could come this way if you want to. Yes, miss. So you were saying, you said once I can bring benefits. As far as you know, what benefits are expected to come from the quarry?
Like the fishing, fishery, like okay. But the fishing, good.
From fishing?
Yeah, farming.
Do you know what a quarry is about?
Quarry,
Huh?
quarry like for like a building too.
Sorry?
Quarry like no, okay. Tell me meaning of the quarry then.
So you don't know what a quarry is?
No.
A quarry is a place where they break down the rocks, they blow up the rocks with dynamite, and then they crush them to produce aggregates, stones for building blocks, for paving roads and all of that.
Right. Well, that's good. It's told us to come and useful.
Coming useful?
Yeah.
So you didn't know what a quarry was, but you think it's a good thing?
Yeah, it's good to yeah.
Although you don't know what it was?
Yeah.
All right.
Alright.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alright.
What about you, sir? My name is Kenton Chance. I'm doing a story on the quarry. Are you familiar with the quarry project?
Exactly 100%.
What do you know about it?
All of the NDP been in power. Them contact for make a quarry, but me, you know, we've been holding back. But if now it is time for the quarry go, the quarry must go.
But what do you know about the quarry? What you know that the quarry is going there, but what else do you know about it?
Well, I know plenty about it because I see it's in the news. But most important, I hear that them say Quarry, going to Richmond, that we got many things. Stone from them say they have a wharf building from bottom tongue to join next one. A lot of them stuff they go walk there.
How did you learn about the quarry?
Well, I don't never but anyone I used to go the
no,
the
I mean this quarry. How did you hear that a quarry was being built there?
Well, me hear from people on the streets. As I tell most listen news.
So you don't know about the details of the quarry or anything like that?
No. Sometimes you hear on the street from people who hear news and not talk over news in proper way.
But as far as you know, the NDP had an opportunity to put a quarry there and they didn't put it.
Yeah, like all up.
And when was this all up?
But it would be like in the 90s, 1990 plus or plus. No man all them what talk man. They only talk after them say. And not have a good experience about what is a way it will bring in citizens.
So you have experience about that?
Well, I start to hear about it. I could be joining and just think.
Alright then, thanks a lot.
So you talk about quarry, not about
yes, sir. So you said you're in favor of the quarry?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the quarry, man. Once you bring benefit for people and not Leeward and thing in the country, you know what I mean? Anything good for the country, me agree.
As far as you know, what are the benefits that will come from the quarry?
Well, as a layman, I don't really know, I watch and see. But you know what I mean, you just can't say things I don't know because I can't see negative thing. I mean, I know I go on watching the language.
Okay, but you're saying you think it's a positive thing, so...
Yeah, me say once you benefit three people in the community and the country, you understand, me agree about that. You know what I mean? Me just can't say negative, I mean, no.
No,
so,
no. I'm not asking you to say negative, I'm not asking you to say positive. You said that you support it, so I'm asking you, why is it that you support it? As far as you know, yes, I know, but as far as you know, what are the benefits that it would bring?
There are plenty of young people on them who know how to go in the mountain and plan on them, my one girl go employment wrong there. You know what I mean? Let's scream in the place because my one hug me go, will me hug this one, then not even because I'm get a partner if you have money or something this way. You know, check my say. So all of that, I think about now. If when it start to happen, and then I see negative thing, I go see negative thing, you know what I'm saying? But right now, I watch and see Kenton.
All right, thanks a lot. There had been fears that the quarry would affect the area of Richmond used for recreation and would flatten the headland. Minister Francis explained the boundaries of the quarry.
He has 113, 116, 117, 118, 119. And there is a what they call a grass reserve between here that goes right down to the beach. That was never surveyed because of they didn't think it was worthwhile for farming. That's my information. And then you have 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 110, and 111. These were the two that they, remember when I read out the conditions of approval? 110 and 111 is supposed to be that green buffer zone. So there's no heavy stuff going on under there. 109, you see missing, is on the right-hand side of the river. I believe that is Irvin Robertson who has that one here. So no way is his quarrying. So this is his zone here. This is the Leeward Highway. You will say up here is Darkview Falls. Right? This is the Leeward Highway, sorry. So Darkview Falls will be here, going down. This is the first sharp turn. Then you turn, you go down to where the old boxing plant was, which is obliquely opposite where 109 is. And his land is in here. So these lands on the top here, right at the top there, is a ridge. And there's no intention of mining beyond that ridge because we don't want to spoil the seascape.
The minister was saying this while holding a survey map that clearly shows that 129 acres in total have been identified for quarrying. This is more in keeping with what Gajada told Eyewitness News on January 29.
Actually, the whole piece is quarry. But in terms of where we started off, we're going to make that decision a little later.
So the whole area is approved for quarrying?
The whole area is approved for quarrying.
The quarry displaces farmers, some of whom have elapsed leases for the lands which belong to the government. Among the farmers who will be affected is Fitzhugh's resident Edith.
I don't want that day.
You don't want it? Can I ask why?
So, when they have a bill of supply, let me say me go work. Me don't get run out from Suffer Road. Make up all my thing and them destroy Suffer Road. Come to know after Suffer come they go work. So probably me go work again. Me don't have nowhere to go.
So you're concerned that you won't have any lands to farm?
No.
But the Prime Minister...
My daughter was at secondary school, so probably must go for farm.
How old is she? And what class is she in?
Last class today.
Form 5. The Prime Minister said on radio on Sunday that his government will find alternative land for the farmers who are affected.
They may do that all the time. They may company and tell people that all the time that if they come to cut it, they may take down the land for go work before I go to go work. They may say, when we come back here from Suffer, they may tell we not go back there. They want day. Find other land you will work.
So you said you were walking close to the volcano?
Yeah, we've been too close to the volcano. Up at Suffer Road, me used to come play.
And when it erupted, you went to Richmond?
No, when he erupted, home. Me used to work with the Danish them. So me and she work it Thursday, if Friday we not go. Because we don't work on Friday time. So Friday is free Europe.
Since it's Thursday evening.
When we come from Suffer, we they come from camp, we they go see how up the all thing, cattle everything. Don't have nothing.
Cattle destroyed everything.
Yeah, so we say we decide if we go back to the place around there because we used to walk Suffer Road around there.
Oh, so you used to work this land in Richmond also before the volcano erupted?
Yeah.
For how long were you farming there?
I got better time.
About how many years?
About 20 years now.
20 years. And how did you get permission? Let's stand to the side of the road, please.
Permission?
How did you get permission to work the land?
Get it lease. A lady did it and they turn it over to us.
So were you guys paying the lease? No, you weren't paying the lease. So do you think the fact that you weren't paying the lease that
Friday,
is fair for do you think it's fair for for the government to take it away because you are not paying the lease.
So why they not inform for tell we? Then I put them on the aid and I come on for say them tell nobody nothing. So why?
So how did you learn that the quarry was gonna go there?
Me no know, me no know.
No, how did you ultimately know?
When me go around the one day, me hear there's a bulldozer there wrong there. I walk a cut, I come on a jig and I come on. Me no know about that. And it real rough.
Is this what?
That's rough because me must go farm. Me love farm. Me can't sit down home. My boyfriend does farm and he does fishing. Me can't sit down home.
Joan Micey Patterson told Eyewitness News that she farms on a plot of land that is privately owned. She only began cultivating following the all clear after the April 2021 eruption of La Soufrière.
And I have lots of things down the plan. The people that went down there this morning, you know, and they saw I have a nice piece of potatoes, nice piece of potatoes. I have a little potato, a little cabbage, and I have a little lettuce. The people don't go and see this morning.
So how did you know that?
Well, I'm the Quarry now. I did not know anything about the Quarry. More than when I went out wrong day, I saw a stake there on the lawn. And when I listened to the information, they say they're going to take a Quarry. Well, I say, to be truthful, I say like this, if they're taking the Quarry, we ain't mind, but what I'm saying, they should have notified people. You understand me? They should have notified people about the Quarry because I don't know really nothing about the Quarry. Or the Quarry makeup or whatever.
Do you know what a quarry is?
I don't know.
You don't know what it is?
No, what is it? Right?
Well, a quarry is an operation where they would take stones and crush them. So you would get like gravel for construction, gravel for making blocks, gravel for making roads. That's what a quarry is.
Same like when you're pounding stone.
Yeah, but it's a big operation with a lot of large machines and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So you didn't know before that's what a
No, I don't know. I did not know what is a quarry. If it good or bad, I did not know. Understand me? But the main thing what I really don't like, they could have informed before. Because I have no land and I really want piece of land to work. I really need piece of land because I cannot sit down home. We are working by Richmondville Academy and up to now they don't call back. We as it. It's part every month they send I'm calling you this month, I'm calling you that month, and they don't turn up as it. Right? I cannot sit down home. I have a family, the family they're working for their own, they have their own family. And I like to be work. And that lady they eat it, work the same place. You understand?
Do you mind if I ask you how old you are?
Well, yes, I am 65 years of old. And I am strong. I don't get weak as yet.
So
because I rail upon cow milk. We are strong. We have my father they have lots of animal and I come back and have animal too and they get destroyed. And they say they will give back. Up to now they don't give me back. Not a thing I don't give back. Nothing.
So what are you doing with this can?
Well, this can I was watering my tulip greens what I have on the plant. I tell her I'm a good wife. I go see a nice piece of potato and potatoes, lettuce, cabbage, a little bit of tomato, and I have other things to plant, but I cannot plant them because they say they stop. So I don't want to be wrong and strong, you know. I just leave it at that.
The farmers said that they heard about the quarry when they were told that tractors were plowing through their farms on January 29. At a press conference on February 10, Minister of Urban Development, Senator Julian Francis, said that for the first months after the April 2021 eruption of La Soufrière, there could not have been any valuation on the farms located on the lands now leased to the quarry.
That North Leeward area was covered in between 15 and 24 inches of ash. I want to establish that for those first 4 months, 5 months, there could not have been any valuation on the crops for the farmers who occupy those lots. So thereafter, when farmers had recovered and replanted and cleaned up, the ball was dropped with regards to the valuation of the crops on the ground. But having paid for his lease and gotten his concessions approved, and I'll tell you some of them just now, the man was ready to roll.
The minister said that an evaluation was done on February 10, and the preliminary figure is for compensation of $200,000 to 25 farmers. The farmers will receive sums ranging from $1,000 to $40,000.
So this still has some work to be done. But I want to reassure the farmers who are affected down there and who were not consulted to know that this is on the way, and this should be coming out soon.
Francis was speaking 2 days after leader of the opposition, Godwin Friday, led a team from his New Democratic Party to North Leeward to see firsthand what was taking place there.
I always like coming to this area. I love Fitzhughes, I love North Leeward. So the issue that is the matter that's in the news right now is what brought us here at this particular time. And that has to do with the quarrying operations that is about to start here, and the uproar it has caused in the community because people have not been made a part of any of the consultation, decision making, anything. And I thought that it's my duty, obligation as the leader of the opposition, as the leader of the mass political party, to come and see for myself, because I'm hearing a lot of stuff that is very disturbing to me. I'm going to look at where the proposed quarrying is going to take place, the areas where the farms have been affected. I've spoken to a gentleman who has a farm that has been directly affected, and he has told me I can go and look. I want to see also the area where the proposed dock is supposed to be built and so forth. These are places that people tell me that I need to look at. And other areas of interest that will be pointed out to me as we go by today. I mean, if you're going to have a project of this magnitude in this country that's going to affect lives, how you can do it without even letting people know what is going to happen, what is the scope of it, how are they going to benefit from it, what is the cost-benefit analysis. There's always pros and cons, we know that. And you'll hear from some of the discussions that have been held, the one that was held last week, Thursday, with the ministers, that people were saying, it's the approach that they have adopted, where they just simply disregard people as if they have no role, no input, nothing at all to be said about something that affects their lives. And that is an attitude that is really has crept into this government more and more, and we're seeing it now, this haughtiness, this arrogance that you just do it and basically you can deal with whatever fallout because you just know how to manage the people. Well, I'm glad that the people in North Leeward are saying, no, we are not going to just sit back and have things affect us and then complain later. We're going to do it now. And I am here to listen and also to lend my support as much as I can. We are, we have a very strong team here because this is a very important issue. It's a very important matter, and I want everybody to see for themselves, to be informed. So when we speak about this publicly, we speak, from an informed position with one voice. That is the way I prefer to approach these matters. It's not a matter of just simply being opportunistic and so forth. It's about trying to find out what's in the best interest of people and representing them to the best of our ability. That's why we are here today.
Gajada told Eyewitness News on January 29 that he had obtained all the permits required to operate the quarry and to build a rock pier at Richmond.
These two approvals come with conditions, and I want to read those conditions because that's why they asked for an environmental management plan and a quarry operations plan as to how they're going to protect the area, protect the environment, the rivers, the tree, the land, the road, the beach, possible coral area. The conditions of approval on the jetty, and I said this was dated the 20th of January 2022. Conditions of approval. Nearshore ecosystems in the area must be monitored. Reno Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited contributes to ecosystems restoration effects at a scale equivalent to any damage done. So that is on the jetty. Any damage that is done has to be restored at the expense of Reno, if any is done. That is covered. On the quarry, you have conditions of approval. Consider and implement the construction of a perimeter dirt berm 4 meters high. That is, well, I see 4 meters, I'm taking it high, a berm. A green perimeter buffer and sprinkling system for dust control. Replant and resoil slopes as a restorative activity as on an ongoing basis at a predetermined section. Determine a green belt buffer around proposed site in collaboration with Forestry Department and National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. Pollution from the development must be minimized and at best prevented. Maintain and improve the existing riparian natural vegetation cover along the Richmond River bank, including development setbacks. Lot 110 and Lot 111, which are pretty close to the river bank, must be kept and managed as a green reserve buffer zone. Proposed berms and similar types of riverbanks protection proposed must be cognizant of the already prone to flooding and erosion along various sections with the main road in close proximity. Guidance and close consultation with Forestry and Fisheries Department must be ascertained with all environmental matters.
The NDP's team included West Kingston MP and NDP Chairman Daniel Cummins, a civil engineer who also holds a master's degree in environmental management. Cummins, who served for many years on the planning board, expressed concern about the lack of public consultation.
The sudden nature of the arrival of this project in itself is frightening, because the potential for this is enormous. One doesn't want to be an alarmist, but we are not far from the actual flanks of the volcano, and the kind of operations here will involve a very serious and heavy blasting, using materials to explode the rocks. And we know, for example, that there have been incidents in St. Lucia by the very company when it comes to explosion. So there are fundamental issues that require straight answers.
Here at Richmondville Academy, in the same valley in which the quarry is being set up. Over the last 20 years, this academy has been focusing on food, water and energy security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as preparing for and adapting to climate change. So I thought it important to get their views as one of the closest establishments to the quarry on how they see this project.
We started in 2012 a program that we call the St. Vincent Climate Compliance Conference, and this program has now gone for 10 years, and it's become a permanent climate compliance conference, which is an action-based conference. And over these 10 years, it's involved everything from a lot of beach, river and community cleanups, together with like hundreds of people and schools. We have done very many tree planting campaigns. And then we thought it was very important to see what can we do to, for natural infrastructure and resilience to assist in stabilizing riverbanks. We made this a small demonstration plot at the Richmond beach to show how can we buffer, because I mean, we're a small island nation, the sea levels are rising and it's just going to get worse. So what is it that we can do? And we were quite focused on making examples and to show this is one example, because I think you need to showcase. Then we have at the same time transformed our farm from a chemical farm to a 100% ecological farm, showcasing various agroforestry methods and silvopastoral livestock systems and, you know, these kind of kitchen gardens and so on. And that we have taken out in the different communities by offering this ecological backyard garden program, and that's one is just running. And it's great because we found the opportunities to get funding for this. Then I think, so aside all the environmental actions and our environmental focused actions, we have done a lot of courses, because at the end of the day, you got to build capacity. And how do you actually build capacity? Because we have students who come out of I don't know how many universities, and they have a whole lot of papers, but you give them a hammer or one of these, you know, so, and they can't tell the difference between the plants, and many of them don't even know what is a balanced diet. So how do you actually build capacity for environmental action? And that is actually what we do the most in our school, which we call another kind of school, where you put theory together with action that enhances your learning process, and this you take out to other people and share and discuss and share your knowledge to see if you can inspire more people for environmental action.
However, Francis said that the government had identified the area for quarrying since in 2008. Back then, a Martinican company had obtained approval in principle to operate a quarry in Richmond, but the company subsequently lost interest in the project. Then, in 2019, the government advertised locally and regionally for expressions of interest in establishing a quarry at Richmond. The technical officials advised that Gajada's RG Quarry Limited had the best of the three responses.
Renault, which is a company, group of companies which now have the approval, is a major operator in the region. In fact, between the beginning of 2019, when discussion started with him, and before the end of 2019, early 2020, although he had supplied here an expression of interest submitted, he moved into Dominica, set up an asphalt and concrete plant there, and moved into Antigua in that same period. In St. Lucia, he has many different businesses, but his major is in quarrying, block making, and concrete production. We visited his site. Richard Hadley and I, in fact, went over in the early days. His site in St. Lucia is something to behold, very well laid out. And what we saw there were like 4 giant machines in one location. It's a huge compound. A sand sifter, 2 crushers, and a concrete batching plant. Very impressive, laid out, well laid out, roads interlacing each other, very efficiently operated. In fact, he operates a block making plant there, where he has a drying capacity on rail of 36,000 blocks at any one time. So it is not a small operator. He has resources, he has access to resources. We did our investigation and due diligence on him, and the cabinet has been happy and accepted him as the operator that we will deal with.
Eyewitness News asked Cummins whether he thought that Richmond is a suitable site for a quarry.
No housing area near to a quarrying of this nature is safe. Ideally, you would want this kind of operation a significant distance away, and most critically, the direction of the wind has implications for this. I attended, for example, the the consultation that they had belatedly with the people in my constituency when they wanted to do a similar operation in Gibson Corner. And we pointed out then that one has to look not just at the distance of the housing from the operation, but the direction of the wind, because that determines. And the evidence then was even the hospital in Kingston was going to be impacted. All the schools in Kingston, all the housing in the entire valley would be impacted by a facility in Gibson Corner. So here, where this entire community would be negatively impacted, because the volume of work to be done, and then it's not just blasting, you have crushing and sieving. So the dust generated will be tremendous. And no matter how much preventative mechanism you put, there is going to be a component of the dust that will escape. You cannot control it. So there are quite a lot of issues. And of course, you are eliminating from the already restricted agricultural activity many acres of very productive soil. And also all of that has to be taken into consideration.
One of the questions that people have repeatedly asked is what would the miners do with the large amount of soil on the headland at Richmond? I put this question to Gajada on Tuesday, February 15.
The reality is, in 30 years, we may not even be able to take out half of the hill. So when we're doing the mining, we're going to be starting in one area. Remove a small section of the overburden, put it somewhere, and that somewhere is we have to build up platforms for the plant, and we have to create a boom all around the boundary going down. Once we get to the stone, you start mining the stone. Once you reach the level of the road, the most that we could go below the level of the road is maybe about 20 feet. If you attempt to go anything below 20 feet, then it becomes very expensive because you're going to get water. Now, I just use 20 feet based on the experience that I have in Sanusha, but it may be less because, your water table might be really much higher. Once that is done, and you have taken off, say, let's say we have taken off 300-400 feet in width, and the rock has been removed. What you do is you take the dirt from the next section and you backfill what you just finished with. Otherwise, there will be no place to put all of that dirt. So I think that what people believe is one day they will just not see the mountain. But as soon as we take the dirt from the next section and cover back to where the rock, we just remove the rock, the reality is people can use that for planting. It will not be as steep as it currently is now, and it will be almost motorable because when we put it back, we have to terrace it so that it does not slide. So just imagine, from the top road, say by, what's his name, Coolsland. If you start there and you look at the hill, and you remove 500, maximum 1,000 feet in length, and you take that little portion out, remove the dirt, we will not be touching any other part until we have removed a significant amount of the rock in that area.
The Richmondville Academy is located in the same valley where the quarry is being set up.
Being residents here, close to the quarry, obviously we've had many environmental concerns, and obviously we have no experience in this regard, what it means, a quarry, and what the effects could be. And I think it's still would be very important for us to be able to talk to the program implementers about the mitigation measures they plan or they wish to put in place for environmental protection, so the damages could be mitigated. And I really wish to see that dialogue and how we could then get on board. Because at the end of the day, there are many different projects, bigger, smaller, happening around St. Vincent. And what are you going to say? This is happening, so now what do we do?
If you were to have your will, what would happen would this quarry be placed on this hillside?
Well, I doubt many people really wish to have a quarry across the road from where they live. So there's no secret that if it could be somewhere else, that would be fine. It would be my wish. But on the other hand, now it's there. It's happening there. So you also got to take a stand to the fact of reality. Okay, this is now reality. This is your reality. So now what do we do?
And what do you think should be done? What are your concerns?
Well,
in a very practical way.
In a very practical way, I really wish that we were more partners now who could sit together. That could be forestry, parks and beaches, the mining company, different members of the community that are engaged to actually see concretely what are we doing now to mitigate and what can we do to perhaps lessen the damages. But to do that, we need to learn more. And I think many of us, we are not aware of possible impacts of a quarry. You can hear this, that, but I don't know. I hear a little here and there, but really I don't know.
Here in Leeward, people have been living next to not just one, but 3 quarries for years. And I've come to ask their views and their experiences on what it is like living next to a stone crushing plant.
Close to this quarry, you get the big smoke coming out from it, and then it destroy whatever you got down here. Because my husband had to do the house 3 times now because it was black like I don't know.
You mean the roof?
The roof. He did it just before he died. Because if you come to see that roof, you wouldn't believe. Is the quarry that do the mess. And then when they put it on, they said they would not have any knives up there. But the knives, it shakes when they blowing the stone and whatnot. Even the people them over there, they could see the same.
So the house vibrates whenever they're blasting the rocks?
Yes.
And you've had to paint your roof? Is it paint the roof?
Yes, we paint the roof. We have twice we paint the roof for the year. And you're not supposed to paint the roof twice for the year.
You mean 2 times? You painted it 2 times in 1 year?
Yes, 2 times in 1 year. Because it was black. It's a pity you didn't come when the color of it. And when they're doing it, they don't notify no one to say that they're going to do it. They just...
Do you have a problem with dust coming into your house?
Yes, I have a problem. You don't notice. I have to get those things and put them on the outside. It's not for sun. It's because all the dust was coming in there. This year I just started to paint, and I'm not supposed to paint twice a year. But I started to paint because I put it in white and I want to put it back in white. So I put it back in white.
You're talking about the exterior walls of your house?
Huh?
You're talking about the walls of the house?
Yes, the walls of the house. You want to see the state of them, you have to wash them down first before you do any painting.
And you were telling us about your son.
It's a pity that he's not at here because now he suffered with this blowing up until he did leave and he went.
Is it asthma? Asthma?
Asthma, yes. And my daughter have asthma now. She's in there. She have asthma.
How long have you been living here?
I went here in 1999.
That's when you built the house, or
yes.
The house was here already?
Yes.
Was the house here already, or did you build it then?
No, my husband built it.
So based on your experience, what would you say to people who are living in a community where a quarry is being set up nearby? Do you think that
it's not very good? That is bad.
Have you ever complained to the authorities, the health authorities?
It's no point to complain to them because as long as they're getting the money, they don't care for who dead. It's the same like the virus now. It's on the money.
Mr. Hazelwood, another Leeward resident, has been living in the area since 2009. The quarries were already in operation when he moved in. What is the experience like living less than a mile from a quarry?
Well, you get a lot of dust. Partially, you have to keep the windows closed because sometimes the dust is greater than other times. The quarry up here, for a while now, it hasn't been functioning as the other one up the mountain. Because there's 2 quarries here.
There are actually 3.
Well, the one in mountain that doesn't use.
No, there are 3 quarries in this area.
Oh, two on the same spot up there, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're way up in the mountain. Again, the dust affects us, especially in the dry weather, when you don't get no rain.
In what way does it affect you? Does it come into the property? Does it cause health problems?
Well, I can't say cause health because I've never been ill since I'm here. But when they're doing a lot of dust up there, we get it all through the house. Sometimes I have to get people to come to go and clean the roof. You will see that most of the dust is what we get now is from La Soufrière, what we used to get. But that has its own effect. I don't think it's killing us as such. I never heard many people along here say that they're being sick from the quarry.
But it's an inconvenience, I imagine, having to live with so much dust.
From time to time, yes. But
and if you were to advise someone about who's building a property and a quarry is close by, is that something you would advise them to do? Or would you tell them to stay away? Or to
no, I don't
live
think I would
elsewhere?
tell them to stay away.
Sorry?
I don't think I will tell them to stay away from building where they're going to build.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have houses further up. Because all of us in this area here, we have the effect of that quarry when it was really going. But we've never been sick. And because it tends sometimes to pass over us, because it's higher. But I wouldn't say it's something I would tell my friend not to build. Mm. Because sometimes we need quarry. Otherwise we have to import the stone, which will be more expensive. So I would not give people any advice about not building. Again, it depends how close.
On Tuesday, February 15, I asked Gajada about the dust generated by a quarry.
I recently posted a video on my Facebook page of the operation in action on Saturday. So Saturday passed, so I wrote the date and the time. And one can view that video for them to see what it is like at our facility. Generally, for you to mitigate the dust, it's just for us to include some water spray jets that would tamper down the dust. So I don't think the concern is a big one. I think the people are correct in saying they would not like to be affected by dust. So there are very easy ways to mitigate it.
Back in Fitzhughes, Eyewitness News spoke with Roland Patel Matthews, a member of the NDP and former MP for North Leeward.
My view is that I am not against development, but I think that things should be done in the right way. And the major problem that most people are having with the quarry is that what it appears to be total disrespect and disregard for the people of this part of the constituency.
You said what appears to be. Do you share that view?
I share the view. I'm talking general, and I'm part of the general view that persons should have been not only the farmers on the immediate land that the quarry is going to be, but if it choose as the closest community to the quarry, the people here should have been informed. If you listen to the people wrong, they are concerned about what are some of the problems that will come as a result of the quarry. Quarries over time will be an environmental problem in terms of the dust and even the noise, because we understand blasting is going to be involved in at some point or the other. And I believe that out of respect for the people of the community, that they should have been informed in a proper way. Now, the other side to that, people talking about the employment that will be created. I have no problem with that either, because once employment is created in a place like North Leeward, where the unemployment situation is very high. But as I said, our major concern and that of the people in the community is that of lack of information from the powers that be regarding this quarry.
As was the case with other people commenting on the quarry, Matthews expressed concern about whether an environmental impact assessment had been done.
I am still at a loss as to whether or not such a study exists. I know that from my research that there was a study that was done, I think it's 2018 or 2008, can't remember the exact time, but it was for a different project, not for the identical quarry that is being done at the moment. And that study cannot be used for this one. It's at different times, and we have seen how time have changed, climate patterns and so on. And one would have thought that the necessary studies would have been done and made available to the people so that we could make a proper assessment. Nothing was done, and people are upset, and I too, as part of the community, is upset. And I'm also surprised that the government, who is bragging and boasting about caring about people, would do something like this without informing the people beforehand as to what is happening and what to expect.
I guess the ultimate question is, do you support a quarry being established in this area where it has been put?
Kenton, I don't know if you was following during my debates in the parliament, right? And I know in North Leeward, we have Richmond, we have Lika as areas that a lot of quarries could go down, because stones are in excess in those areas. And I at one point in parliament made the point that in order to curb one of the ways to curb the unemployment in North was to establish quarries in those areas. So in terms of support a quarry, in North Leeward, yes, but not in the immediate proximity that they're doing it. I don't support it in that area.
So you think another valley would be more appropriate?
Yes, and there are numerous valleys in the North Leeward area there where they could have a lot of stones. Even next to Waterwallibu River Valley, that has a lot of stones, could have been an ideal place for a quarry. If aggregate is their only product that they hope to produce. And the reason why I say that, my brother, I have seen where quarries have turned themselves into block making, slab making and other products. And I don't know if that is the intent with this one. Because one of the issues as well is that people in the Richmond area who have been mining gravel for years are concerned, because they are saying they don't know if later on their livelihood will be affected as well. So they span now what this quarry will be doing going forward, we don't know. And that adds to the many unanswered questions that we as a people in this part of the country is facing. We don't know enough of what this quarry is about.
However, at his press conference, Francis said that the local firm did an environmental impact assessment in 2008.
Might be of interest to you that Mr. Cool was actually party to the environmental impact assessment. I think he participated within the consultant who was doing it at that time with Lika, Monrond, and Waterwallibu riverbeds in getting the data and information for the firm. The firm was, do I have it? Yes, I have it here. Institute for Environmental Research and Technology, INERT. I believe that is Dr. Murray, and he had done that. So that document, the environmental impact assessment, was in the possession of the government. the quarry site was approved. When Reno comes in now, Reno had to revisit this along with the technical persons and prepare for planning purposes and approval purposes what is called I think I have them here, an environmental management plan.
The minister was referring to Cuthbert James, a community leader and farmer who is to be uprooted as a result of the quarry. I asked Mr. Cool, as he's popularly known, to comment on the minister's claim.
I was hired by Dr. Reynold Murray to conduct the surveys, but that had nothing to do with this project, you know, this present project, because it was I think it was a company out of Martinique, right? And they were actually going to harvest stuff from the Walibu River and that area. So yes, I was part of that in terms of, you know, conducting the surveys. And my focus with the surveys was to interview the persons on the beach, like those people who collect gravel and the tree catchers. Yeah, that was my focus. It had nothing to do with this rock, really.
On Wednesday, February 16, Dr. Reynold Murray told Eyewitness News that his firm did an environmental impact assessment in the North Leeward area in 2007-2008. Dr. Murray, who has a doctorate in environmental studies, said that the study cannot be used for the current quarry.
The gentleman who I met was a gentleman doing some stone quarrying in Dominica, and he wanted to come to St. Vincent to do some additional work. He was looking at mining the river mouth. I remember Larakai and the other two rivers in the area, generally to get the material that's coming out there, and some hard rocks and one other area. We did the assessment at that time under the conditions that existed then. So this was not done for anything that I see is happening now, or that anything. If it is being used in that regard, then it's totally out of context and out of date.
Dr. Murray said that generally, after 10 years, an environmental impact assessment is considered obsolete.
But it is not fixed. But generally, after 10 years, it's considered obsolete, especially in an island state where you have changing coastal conditions.
And do you think that the eruption of La Soufrière might have had some impact on the environmental conditions?
Certainly it has. It wouldn't have changed the rock condition, but change the landscape, and you always have to consider the landscape. Also, there are changes in the dynamics, social issues related to livelihood and the persons involved and what they do, how they obtain livelihood, etc.
Among the NDP's team in Richmond was MP for Central Kingston, Sinclair Lika, who is also a businessman. I asked Lika, an NDP vice president, about balancing public interest and private sector investment.
From time to time when the government is transacting with land, we see that national property gets into the picture. We have seen that with respect to land sales in Beckway. We have seen it with the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines / National Commercial Bank, cobblestoning, and a range of other issues. And so we don't know when lands belongs to national properties and when lands belong to government. And therefore you'd feel that if this was a prospect for a good return on investment, or income stream down the road, then you may have wanted institutionally to involve national properties and perhaps proceed to a good public-private partnership initiative, that is the government and some private sector concern. You don't see the presence of that issue that's involved here. I think Dr. Friday has also spoken to, I don't know if it came through in the interview that you did with him, that when you're speaking about mining and quarries, you're speaking about natural resources, and those are the states. How awkward it would look if 5 years, or even less than that, 10 years, let's look at 5 years, because we're talking about the deep water pier, that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines finds itself buying aggregates that was once its own. I mean, that is so ugly and unexplainable. That is untenable as an argument, you know. So you want to know why we're in those short-term conflict situations, and then we proceed to the whole governance issues. This is our national silver, our land, our heritage. And you don't either sell it or put it on long-term lease willy-nilly. You have to look at all of the implications in its transfer from the state, from the people, to a private party. And that hasn't been explained to us thus far. Because ultimately, I would assume that the investor who has gone into this 30-year lease would have looked carefully at the potential for a strong income stream. And if yes, his answer is yes, then his yes is also the government's yes. It means that we should have been anticipating a good set of royalty over the next 30 years. We are just out of a budgetary session.
You mean the government will get a percentage of the money that the company makes?
Well, it's normally called royalty when you talk about transferring, whether it's bauxite or oil, yes, thank you, or quarries, extract. Certainly, if you go now, a month after the budget, you would see no provision in the estimates that for the next 5 years, in the next 30 years, there is a stream of income that will come out of this investment.
The quarry was not mentioned in the 2022 budget debate or in the campaign for the November 2020 general elections. It had a passing mention, however, in the ruling Unity Labour Party's election manifesto. Francis said that he had been open about the government's intention to allow for the establishment of a quarry in Richmond.
I don't know if you remember, fellas, I said in Parliament, when I took the gentleman down there and he saw the stone and the quality of the stone, he had several orgasms. Government is putting absolutely no money into this project. We are supplying the lease, and for your information, the lease is $12,000 per year. But there are other income coming to the government.
The minister said Gajada will make an initial investment of $30 million.
In my opinion, I believe it's going to cost him more than $30 million to get it rolling. Now, a man investing $30 million going toward concessions. He gets concessions like any other person who would invest in this field. He will get concession on the importation of equipment and spare parts and fuel, and he will get tax concessions, and there are rates and charges that would be applied to the government's benefit.
But what is the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines getting out of the arrangement?
Okay, what is the government getting out of this? As I said, the lot's at $12,000 per year, and the lease is for 30 years. But the important aspect of it is that the government gets $2, what they call throughput, for each ton that is crushed.
This investment in a quarry of this size is a far better investment for our national insurance scheme than in the hotel. You're literally speaking guaranteed a return on investment in this. And why therefore is the national insurance scheme for that matter, from an economic point of view? Looking at these kinds of investments, let me just take this off and get out to it. Why are we not looking at these kinds of investments where you want to increase the income stream of NS to make sure you can move the needle on what is paid to pensioners than other investments that have been thought about? So you ask yourself instinctively, have we thought through all of the ramifications for moving this potential resource for Vincentians into a regional? Because one is not taking fundamental objection to St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada. We are one economic community, and you don't want to go down that road. But clearly it's not impolite for us always being mindful of putting the best interests of Vincentians first, where it is justified. So I think that question will have to be asked on the governance issues and on the public policy issues with respect to this project.
Yeah, well, I guess if they made that arrangement, I mean, like, they have to be comfortable with it, you know. I mean, for me, if I'm going to go into a deal with anybody, I make sure that I get something good out of it. So I have to delve into it a little further to, you know, say, well, you know, whether it's good or bad. But I guess they made their arrangement, you know. Yeah.
On the face of it, does that sound to you as a good deal for the country at the sacrifice of all this farmland?
Well, the thing is, boy, and people say development would come at, certain levels of sacrifice, eh? And like I said, okay, that may be one part of, the kind of monies they'll be getting. I need to see what are the other benefits. And in addition to that, Kenton, I want to see how the community itself is going to benefit from it. I mean, that is even more important to me than generally what the government itself is going to get, the country itself is going to get out of it. The people in the community will be affected. Like we talk about the dust that will be affecting Fitzhugh and Chateaubriand. I mean, what kind of mitigating factors will be put in place? Would people in the community, we are ordinary man in the community, the truckers and so on, would they be getting, something out of it? Because clearly, the project is going forward, right? But the thing is, what is in it for the people on the ground in the community?
And you haven't heard that as yet?
No. That's what we're waiting for. And, those are the kind of information we need.
Mr. Cool was among farmers who attended a public information session in Chateaubriand on February 3, 5 days after the tractors began plowing through farms.
And at the meeting in Chateaubriand, we did ask for a copy of the environmental impact assessment, and we heard about an environmental management plan, which is different. Mm-hmm. That's different. But I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Are you optimistic that you would really see it?
Well, optimistic is not the word. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Were you satisfied generally with that public information session in Chateaubriand?
Satisfied to the point that people spoke up. That was my satisfaction. So it wasn't just me, Mr. Cool, coming out to talk about the project. If you notice, other ordinary people, and they spoke about different areas of the project, how it would affect. Like one guy came out and spoke about, the Cavalry Rock area and the depth and those kind of things. I mean, that's powerful. An ordinary man and saying, look, have you factored in this kind of information, these issues into about the project? And that was my satisfaction. There were some commitments made. So, for example, one commitment was that they would not take the price of the produce from the list that they have that was there. And I did make a comment about, from way back when. So I'm still waiting to see what kind of compensation package will be given out and that kind of thing.
And what about the lands in exchange?
Well, I haven't heard anything about that. Through the grapevine, well, grapevine may not be the right word, on the street, I should say, I've heard that some would be going to Top Hill.
That's on the slopes of the volcano?
No, Top Hill is just over the Walibu River. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just in that area there. Yeah, so I heard that some people will be going there. So I haven't heard anything official, really.
As it stands now, 2 weeks after, or maybe 3 weeks after this plowing began, I mean, are you any clearer? Do you feel more satisfied that, do you have a better understanding of what is taking place?
Well, I have, a slightly better understanding because we did get some information about the company and the project at the meeting, so that's more information. But we shouldn't have to wait for that after the fact. That information should have been up front. And I did hear Minister Francis at the beginning of his press conference, he apologized. And, it was good to apologize. But, but apologize and then move on and give information and, I'm a little bit more satisfied up to this point.
Well, I think that discussion came especially for the compensations of the farmers. That was my understanding from the meeting. And many farmers and people were very concerned because they didn't know. So I think that meeting was a lot about addressing the farmers. And also in this meeting, it was clearly stated that there will be more. It's not really a consultation because that happens before a project, so it's more like an information meeting. So it was also mentioned in the meeting that we are going to have meetings with all those who are concerned about the environment, because right at the end of the beach we have a beautiful reef, and I think we need to sit down and discuss what could happen to the reef, what can we do something to mitigate, and actually understand the plans for the rock pier, which is not a jetty. It's just good to kind of separate what.
But before this public information session, the minister said that there was a consultation with Parks and Beaches and other entities, and our view was also there. I think that was sometime in December or in November.
There was an information meeting, and I'd like to that we just need to be clear on the differences here of an information meeting and a consultation, which a consultation takes place before a project starts, and then you agree, not agree, object, not object, and then you would have a decision. So you consult first, and then a project start, and you make a decision. So that was not a consultation; it was an information meeting. And at that meeting for Richmondville Academy, we had objected because we hadn't seen an environmental impact assessment. We were at a later point aware of one made in 2008 to a project that was different than this one, but also a mining project. So therefore we requested more information on an environmental impact assessment, or ESIA. But it's on the same lines. So therefore, now this is happening. This is a fact. And the minister, Mr. Saboto, he said that he would have also a meeting with groups on the environment impact. So I look forward to that one.
You might not want to admit it, but you're a community leader.
I am. No, I'm going to admit it. I am a community leader. And Kenton, I came up through the community development kind of lifestyle. And I don't know if you know that, but I worked with the National Youth Council for a number of years before, and then I went to Marion House to work and so on, and then got the other job here I have now. But I've always been a community leader. Even back in the days when I was a teacher, I taught from 1977 to 1992. Chatterbilly and Chumuka Primary Schools.
So the reason why I raised that is because when we went into the community, I was a little surprised to find out that some of the people who, notwithstanding their strong opinions for or against the quarry, did not know what a quarry is.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this is as a consequence of the lack of information that should have been?
It is. And the thing is, had the people gotten the information up front, you would not have gotten that comment, because people would have been educated in that regard.
Because one person actually told me a quarry is a building.
Wow.
and what I fear is that maybe when the quarry begins operating, then is when people would realize, well, look,
this
is what it really is, and I am not so happy anymore that this is close to me.
Yeah, and because you see, there used to be an old quarry just over the road there, but that was a different operation, a small operation, and the modern quarry is something like really massive. I heard someone saying that they may be using conveyor belts and all those kind of things, so yeah, people need to be educated in that regard, Kenton, and I think it was a missed opportunity. I heard people blaming COVID, but we have used other avenues to inform in other things, on other things, right? So we could have used the media, for example. Radio, television,
Facebook.
You don't have to bring people together to do that. And it was a missed opportunity, and hopefully this is a learning example for everybody.
But interestingly, the MP said that he went to St. Lucia to see the plant there, and some people say, well, you went to St. Lucia, but you didn't come to us.
Right, and the people have a right to make that comment, because the thing is, inform the people. If the people are not informed, they will be ignorant. And I hope people don't take the word ignorant to mean something.
They lack knowledge.
Lack of knowledge. Yeah, they'll be ignorant to what is going on. And if you're ignorant to what is going on, you won't have the information necessary to make an informed decision.
During our February 11 visit to the 3 quarries in Leyu, none of the workers spoke to Eyewitness News on camera, saying that they did not have the relevant clearance from their employers to do so. We learned that one of the quarries employs 20 people and the other employs 10, and there was no one at the third quarry, which is the smallest in the area. Gajada has told Eyewitness News that his quarry would employ 25 people initially, and this would double in about 6 months. I asked Mr. Cool about farming jobs in the agricultural lands now converted to mining in Richmond.
I have 3 guys on a regular basis, and there are 2 more.
Do you mean regular as in full-time or?
Yeah, full-time, and I'm in full production. Since I came back from La Soufrière, I mean, like from the evacuation.
You're still rehabilitated?
Yeah. But I mean, like when I was pruning the cocoa and so on, I had like 4 guys employed pruning the cocoa, getting the stuff ready. 3 persons were involved in replanting the passion fruit. You know, so that, yeah.
Based on your knowledge and all the farms that are here, about how many people do you think is employed in agriculture in this area?
Okay, so you have to look at the owners, right? And how many persons, like for example, the piece right next to mine here, that belongs to a guy Hadaway, George Hadaway. I think clearly there'll be about 6 persons directly affected down there. That's right beyond me here. Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question is because one of the things that people talk about is employment. And Mr. Reno, he told me that initially he plans to employ about 25 people, and then he would scale that up. And I don't get a sense that people are factoring that these farmers do employ people. And, and in aggregate, possibly a significant number of people.
And I see that all the time. I mean, like, we do, farmers employ other farmers, other people to work on the farms, you know. And I think people are only looking at the persons who own the farms or doing, cultivating the farm and so on. But you have other people you employ.
In explaining the reasons for the quarry, Francis said that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been importing aggregates at a cost so high that it is unsustainable.
But we cannot continue to import. St. Vincent is a place full of stone. Anywhere you look, you see stone, but it's to get to the stone, harvest the stone, and turn that stone into aggregate. It needs somebody with resources, experience, and money to do it. The government took a decision that government will not invest in a quarry. That is private sector investment. The governments of St. Vincent in the past have managed quarries, and those quarries are today dead.
To the best of our information, the 3 quarries in Leeward are in no way connected to Gajada's investment at Richmond. The miners in Leeward told Eyewitness News that St. Vincent and the Grenadines needs more quarries. They say that the crushers in the country are finding it difficult to meet local demand. Gajada told Eyewitness News that 3 years ago, when he came to St. Vincent, aggregate was sold for $45 a cubic yard. Now, the price has increased to $80. He was, however, unable to say how much the aggregate he would produce at Richmond is likely to sell for.
I am not sure yet. It all depends on the timing, because you realize the cost of everything has really gone rocket high over the last 2 years. So I'm not holding it, but the intention is to ensure that it is less than the current market price. That's the idea, right?
In spite of what has been portrayed as an acute shortage of aggregates in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Gajada, in his initial interview with Eyewitness News on January 29, said that only 1% of the aggregates he will produce will be for local use. Francis had this to say.
When asked, he said 99% local, 1% export. There are 2 interpretations of that. Everything else that is not used in North Leeward goes on a barge, export, out of Richmond. Right? Lomans Bay is the area that we plan to store aggregate for local consumption. So it'll be easier for persons from Windward side, Leeward, from Leyu, from Barley, go back up to come to Lomans and get the aggregate. So why we insisted on a roll-on, roll-off badge, you must not drive it along the main road. A lot of it, we don't want to drive in through Chateaubelair and so on, because it's going to be large volumes. They will barge it up to Lomans, store it at Lomans, and there will be a retail outlet there where we can sell. So 99%, I believe that it was his interpretation. I'm moving 99%, 1% for the local community. But in any case, if that's not what he meant, this is not the actual position. He was wrong if he says 99 for export, which 99% of us in St. Vincent would mean out of St. Vincent. There is a condition that exports will always be subject to local demand. In fact, we suffered for that even when we were importing when COVID came in, because the then government in St. Lucia refused to allow any aggregate to leave St. Lucia, Martinique, and as far up as Dominica, because quarries were working like day on, day off, supplies were getting low, and so on. And remember, St. Lucia had a big shutdown for many months. So that I just want to clear that up. We will get whatever aggregate there is for construction. And we have a lot of construction to take place in this term, this 4 years that's left.
On Tuesday, I asked Gajada to clarify this.
I think the understanding is a little different. Actually, the size of the operation that is going to be put at Richmond will have a capacity to give the St. Vincent market all what it needs and have significance for export. Now, let us look at it. Even for St. Vincent, where we are located, only a few small Fortin trucks will be able to come to the site to pick up material because of the road and the arch that is in Chateaubelair. So big trucks cannot get to the site. Everything will have to be barged out, and literally it sounds like I'm exporting everything out of Richmond. So if I have to take it down into Kingston, Lomans Bay, you're literally exporting it out of Kingston, out of Chateau or Richmond. But locally, you will not find many people from the Chateaubelair area or adjoining areas coming to the site.
However, Gajada was explicit in his comments to Eyewitness News on January 29.
This operation is 99% export and 1% for St. Vincent, because the St. Vincent market would never be able to accommodate the investment necessary for that type of operation.
It is not clear how, in a multi-island state, moving a locally produced commodity from one part of an island to another part of that same island could be classified as exportation. Kenton Chance, Eyewitness News, Richmond, St. Vincent.